Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the Opposition Preview. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. International football is done, the Premier League's back, and it's back with a bang. Big one at Anfield, Liverpool versus Chelsea on Sunday afternoon. Top of the table against fourth, two teams that have made a very good start, so it should be a tasty game. But I didn't realise Chelsea's record against Liverpool is quite poor. No wins in the last 9 meetings and no win at Anfield since 2021. So that needs to change. But to dive into the game, discuss Liverpool, discuss what we think is going to happen, delighted to be joined by Errol. Mate, good to catch up with you again. First things first, mate, you doing good?
I'm all good, man. Yeah. We were just catching up in a little bit just before we went live and started recording. So, yeah, things are going well. I'm quite happy with all things that we're concerned. I think there's a few moans and grumbles in and around contracts, but as I say, these things will get ironed out as and when they do.
I mean, we both had quite a lot of change over the summer. I mean, us with another new manager, you with a big change, Klopp gone, Arnie slot in, but it seems like not an awful lot's changed on the pitch. Still playing well, results are decent. I mean, has the start to the season gone better than you would have expected? Do you expect to be top after 7 games?
I probably wouldn't have expected to be top. I would have expected to be in and amongst it, top 4 certainly. I think one of the things from us was that level of continuity. How was we going to keep the chain on the tracks, so to speak, in relation to obviously Slot coming in after Klopp? And I think a lot of people had really taken to the legacy and what Klopp had been able to build at Liverpool, and we all felt safe. We knew, especially when you consider that you go into the summer and it's silly season with transfers. If someone tells you, Klopp's happy with his squad, who are we to doubt him? Look what he's done. He's got history. He's got previous there that you can kind of fall back on and say, yeah, we'll come good. Slot was a completely different proposition. The fact that they only really went into the market for Chiesa in itself, a lot of people were up in arms. People didn't think Gravenberch was going to come in and be suited to the 6th role. We needed somebody else. But, without having to really get a big scalp, you could probably say Man U's a scalp as well, because obviously they're historical rivals in that sense, and it'll always mean a little bit more to beat them, whether they're at the top of the tree or they're at the bottom. It doesn't matter. It's the same when we play Everton and we beat them. Especially our record at them last season, considering we didn't get any wins, and that was under the Jurgen Klopp side. I think outside of that, the teams on paper you'd look at, usually even struggled a little bit against Forest. You'd have said Liverpool should beat them. So there's been no surprises there. But of course, new manager, new setup, new system, players bedding in. Some players that weren't favoured last season have been given chances. Did he take those chances? All of those things to take into consideration. It almost felt as though there are plenty of excuses if it doesn't go the right way. But I'm glad we don't have to talk about the excuses, because Liverpool have been doing their talking on the pitch, and for the most part, so far there's the little one bloody nose that we got. It looks like he's kind of learned a couple of those lessons, and he's found a way to continue to motivate us, and the team look like they're in a very good position. They all look like they're in a good headspace to really go for this season, however that unfolds.
Yeah, I think it's obviously been a massive plus for the manager as well to come into a settled squad, a squad that's full of quality anyway. It's not like when Klopp took over, where the squad was a bit of a mess, load of average players. This is a very good squad. I know, maybe could have done with a few more bodies, but
he's inherited a brilliant squad. And again, it's fit for purpose with longevity attached to it. There are a good couple of players in there that are under the 25 years of age bracket that haven't hit their peak or the pinnacle of where they want to be in world football yet. So to be able to, and I've said it on a couple of streams that I've done, mate, if I'm being honest with you, he's came in as a head coach, so his job is to focus on how do I get the best out of these players? How do I up their levels by 10, 15%? And we're already seeing the fruits of that labour in the likes of Gravenberch. Last year, you might have given him a 5, 6 out of 10 if you're being really generous. Already, you're looking to say he started the season 8 out of 10. And again, that is probably doing him a little bit of a disservice. It's probably closer to a 9 or a 10 out of 10. But I still think there's levels for him to go. So I don't want to set him up to fail by saying he's been 10 out of 10 and then all of a sudden it kind of plateaus. So if he can do that en masse, that compounds, that becomes massive in terms of the function of the whole squad as its entirety. That is absolutely massive in terms of how deep and how far we can go in all of these competitions throughout the course of the season.
Before we get into your performances this season, don't want to put a downer on things, but there's been quite a lot of noise in the build up to this game last couple of days about Trent's situation. Liverpool potentially more resigned to him going. Real Madrid, obviously, we know they're long term, admirers of him, but there's been a few more reports coming out saying maybe the interest is a bit more serious and whatnot. How much of a distraction is the contractual situation of the likes of Trent, Virgil, Mohamed Salah this season? It doesn't seem to have affected performances on the pitch, but it can't be helpful having them three out of contract, able to speak to clubs in January and sign pre-contract agreements.
I think for the, if we take them all in isolation, Virgil's the club captain, so he's got that responsibility to stay focused to the task at hand. I think the people behind the scenes will work on that, and as long as they can come to an agreement, there will be a deal to be hashed out. I think with Salah, I've said it a couple of times. Yeah, you look at the players and the names and the quality and what they bring and how much they elevate us as a squad. You think, how's Liverpool got themselves in this situation? But the way I tend to look at it, and I'm different from other Liverpool fans, which is absolutely fine, I kind of view it as with Salah. Last season, the season before, when it was the contract renewal, there was the whole talk about going to Saudi. It seemed like a really appetizing prospect, and there was players flocking over there for the big wages and the opportunities, and the league was growing. That seems to have died off. The hype around Saudi's died off. Real Madrid look well stocked in the forwards department now, especially after the acquisition of Mbappe. You've got the likes of Bayern again, well stocked. Maybe Bayern would be one that would probably come in, but then you've got a Kane already still there on a contract. PSG, are the French league really pulling up trees at the moment? Are you really going to go there and better your career than what you've currently done at Liverpool? So in terms of the opportunities for Salah, I feel like there are more limited 2 years on from his last contract situation, which kind of gives the power back to Liverpool to say, we need you to perform to this level. If you continue to perform to this level, we're prepared to giving you this level of extension. If that's good enough for you, we're more than happy to keep you. We think you're a legend. Your legacy is here with Liverpool. And I think that opportunity's there on a performance-based kind of decision that he really needs to make. And I think from a personal point of view, where else does he go in world football now to really take that next step if he wanted to? I don't see him going anywhere else in the Premier League. So I think the power does slightly come back to Liverpool in that sense, and also in the sense that we did get Chiesa in as a bit of an understudy for him, said get a quality addition if he can stay fit. And then you almost look at it from a slots perspective. He doesn't have to manage that relationship in the same way Klopp did. Klopp had to keep Salah happy. All of a sudden now, if Salah's not signing that deal, right, well, if your form dips, Chiesa, you can come in, because I don't have to worry about keeping you happy because you'll be gone. And I'm here for 2-3 years and I'm trying to think of the project as opposed to keeping you sweet. So I think there's a little bit of power there that can be handled in a particular way with where Salah's concerned. And then finally with Trent, he's a scouser, isn't he? So I think that affiliation to the city, to Liverpool, boyhood club and all of that, as much as you could say it's a bit of a distraction, which I do agree, it probably is. He could probably do without the noise. I think in his heart of hearts, irrespective of what's going on in the background, I'm here to give my all for Liverpool every opportunity that I get.
Do you think he's already decided what he wants to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think he's off with Jude?
No. Personally, I don't.
You think he's going to stay?
I personally do, yeah.
But just on that,
again, I personally,
but yeah, if he's going to stay, right, why have they not sorted this out already?
It's a good question. To be honest with you, I think from what I've heard, and again, I don't get too bogged down in the behind the scenes and the kind of commercial elements of
you normally think Liverpool are a well-run club, right?
We've had a few changes in our.
Yeah, I'd find it staggering how a top football club like Liverpool, or anyone in this case, could allow 3 top performers to go into the last year of their contracts all at the same time. I just find it staggering.
It is baffling, and I think the hierarchy and the changes that have been made over the course of the last 18 months, they have really they've really hampered us in our ability to kind of execute those deals, because people were coming in, people were kind of just there for garden leave, people were just there to cover bases and to keep somebody in a seat, as opposed to really future-proofing the squad and the squad's needs. Obviously, since the new guy, the new team, the new setup have come in, that's been one of their priorities, as well as obviously Slot, the technical director, and the transfers. So there's been a lot of work to do in the space of 6 to 8 months. So I think the old guard didn't really give the new guard the best foundations, if I'm being honest with you. And that means there's a lot to unpick and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But then at the same time, we're in a healthy condition as a club, so you should still be able to negotiate from a position of power. You know, we're still in the Champions League. We're still one of the better teams in this league. So in terms of presenting the project of, well, we still want to win, it's feasible. You know, the opportunity is there. The squad's good enough, and you're competing, and you're adding the infrastructure, the training facilities, all those extra things show that Liverpool are in a healthy state. So there is the opportunity there to really get these deals done and get these contracts sorted, because you're negotiating from a position of power. If we would have not made Champions League last year, and we wouldn't have invested in the infrastructure, you might be looking at it thinking, bloody hell, we're going to struggle to get these lads, because Real Madrid, they're going to bend the ear, or Bayern Munich are going to bend the ear, or Barcelona, whoever it might be, whoever the giants are of world football, they smell that weakness, but it still doesn't feel like there is that weakness in where Liverpool are operating at the moment, because we know from a football sense, we're still performing on the pitch. The lads have still bought into it. And I think as well, it's hard to negotiate once Klopp said he's leaving, because a lot of those lads, I think a lot of people forget that sometimes, a lot of those lads will have looked at it and been like, well, if Klopp's leaving, who's coming in? Who am I going to be playing for? How much are they going to value my contribution to this team? Are they going to want a new captain? Are they going to want a new, talisman up front? All of these things were unknown quantities for, a period of time, which meant that trying to negotiate would have been a little bit premature, because you wouldn't have really been able to have the strongest hand. Liverpool now have got a hand that's fairly strong. We're still in the Champions League. We know what the format looks like. We know what our manager's capable of doing, because you've seen it firsthand. You've seen a pre-season with him. You've seen the tactics that he's implemented. You've seen this backroom stuff that he's brought on board. Is that for you? Do you like that? Because that's what you're going to continue to buy into at this point. If you don't like it, then this is where the club's going. That's the direction in general. By all means, if it's not for you, then unfortunately, this is what we're going to end up having to. And some of the writers said, well, we'll sell you in January. I can't see that happening. But they may have made that decision. Whereas I think Liverpool now have got all of the cards, they've got all of the pieces in the puzzle in front of them laid out, and now they can present that in the best possible light to these players to say, this is the grounds that we want to keep you on. These are the terms and conditions. This is what the contract will look like. Is this something that you're still invested in? Do we still have your buy-in? If that's the case, sign on the dotted line. And I think that is what Liverpool have been waiting for, to really be able to build momentum across a couple of these. Because Konate and Quanta's contracts have went underway. Quanta signed one last week. Konate's in the process of signing one at the moment. So all of it is now starting to generate a little bit of momentum again, because I think all of the other bits now have been rubber stamped, and there's a lot more certainty, where 5-6 months ago, once Klopp had made that big announcement, and it was a huge shock, especially for some of the new players that were just bought. They just bought into the Klopp, concept. Liverpool 2.0 with the Klopp, they just bought into that. So all of a sudden, the direction's got off and it's changing ever so slightly. So there would have been question marks, and there would have been, eyebrows being raised, and it would have been totally understandable. But Liverpool wouldn't have had all the answers, and it would have been too much guessing, and there would have been potentially over-promising and under-delivering. Oh, we're going to bring in Luis Enrique, we're going to bring in this guy, we're going to bring in all these big names, and all of a sudden you feel like you've been sold down the river a little bit, whereas we haven't. We've just done what else has been needed in the background, got the acquisitions in place where they've been needed. All right, I think there was a little bit of under-investment into the players squad in the summer. I can accept that, but we will only know how much under-investment there was at the end of the season when we finish up. If we finish top 3, we come away with silverware, there'll be grumblers because it depends on what trophy you pick up. But people will say, all right, it was for this first season, it was still a relatively good one. If we completely fall away and we're straight holding on to get into the Europa League or something like that after having a brilliant start, people will definitely and rightly say, look, we underinvested. There was an opportunity there to really back this manager because he had the potential, and we let him down.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, mate, this weekend, big one. Toughest test of the season probably so far for both of us. I think despite our good starts, we haven't really faced what you'd call a big team. I know we had City on the opening day, but you can't really read too much into that opening day and whatnot. This is going to be a big test for both teams, big test of, our credentials, big test of what Arne Slot, in a big game and stuff. So, mate, talk to me. How are you feeling about Chelsea coming to town? I mean, we haven't got the best record there, but what have you made of us this season? Are you more worried about us this season than certainly over the past couple of seasons? Because obviously we got hammered last season 4-1. I think the season before we had a 0-0 draw. But I mean, you must feel pretty confident when any team comes to Anfield. But what have you made of us this season, and kind of what are you how are you feeling about Chelsea?
Our record at home's pretty good. It has been for a sustained period now. So there is always that level of confidence. I think Chelsea have been the type of team to, even when they've not been at the best, they've somehow found a way to cancel us out. And it's almost been like quality for quality, blow for blow. You can have a moment of magic, we can have a moment of magic. We could have sustained play for 70 minutes, we could have loads of possession, but you have still got that quality to hurt us on the counter or on the break. So there's always been that fear that you've got to be mindful that you can't look past Chelsea and what they're capable of. I think one thing that's impressed me more is how much more of a fluid system you seem to have at this moment in time in particular, because I feel like there's real fluidity between Palmer, Jackson. I think they're forming a great little partnership. Is it how do you pronounce his name? What's his name? Duku?
Oh, Madueke.
Yeah, I think he's a decent enough player. You've got Nduku as well. There are other players in there now that are really starting to become their own within that Chelsea squad. I think as well the way the manager's kind of went about his business, he's been a little bit militant. It's been, this is what I need. These are the players that I want to work with. This is the way that I want to play. These players can play that. If you don't fit into that mold, unfortunately, I'm not going to go above and beyond to try and cater to your ego and to your needs. I'm just focused on what this project needs right now. And I just like the way he's kind of took that approach with you. I think he's getting results when it matters. I think he's scoring goals. I think defensively there are still frailties. I'm not 100% sure on Sanchez, as he's going to be the a goalkeeper that
he's not good enough. Mate, he's one of them, right? That'll do. He'll like, he's got errors in him. He'll always make errors, but then every so often he'll like win you a game, or he'll keep you in by making a few ridiculous saves, and then people think, oh, maybe he's actually all right. But he's always gonna have them moments in him. But yeah, we've done well this season. We're looking better. The balance in the midfield is looking better. I'm still not sure how to get the best.
That's the one area.
I still don't know how to get the best out of Enzo Fernandez. I'd rather see Lavia play alongside Caicedo, if I'm being honest. I think it would be better for the team.
Trying to keep Lavia fit though at the minute.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's a big problem. But luckily at the moment, we haven't got anyone injured, which is a big plus. You got a plan to stop Cole Palmer?
Ryan Gravenberch, at the moment, that's the plan. It is. Well, to be honest, you on form, given the way that this season has started, you're looking at two of the better midfielders in the Premier League going head to head. In terms of,
sure. Yeah,
one's going to be the attacking focal point, the other is going to be the defensive anchor to try and cancel them out, and that comes back down to cancelling each other out as a team in general. To be honest with you, because if Ryan Gravenberch has a good game in Liverpool, are really possession-based and building up, Cole Palmer doesn't get offered the opportunities he does to create chances. If Cole Palmer's absolutely flying, Ryan Gravenberch has been taken out of the game and his effectiveness has been minimised all of a sudden. So it would be really interesting, because those two players could literally just cancel each other out, and all of a sudden it just seems a bit of a dead rubber, because the other qualities on the pitch don't seem to be able to get those links going. I make no bones about it. Cole Palmer's, he's that guy, man. You know me.
Best
whenever you're I'm there on yes. I like him. I genuinely, in terms of like players that don't play for my football club, he is the first one that I'm like, yo, if I could have any. Because I know there's never going to be a chance. Cole Palmer is never going to be a Liverpool player. But
No,
I had the open checkbook. I would say,
you go for him.
Todd, talk to me, Todd.
Yeah.
What is it you want to me? Because I've got something. I got some zeros on the end of this. Because he's brilliant, and I think his vision. I like his calmness on the ball. I like his decision making at times. I think he's not only got the eye for the pass, he's got the eye for the goal as well. He scores all different types of goals. He makes those.
Guy's got everything.
He literally ticks all of the boxes, and the age that he is, and the mentality of the kid, and I just love his personality. It's that like all I want to do is play footy. I know that I've got media responsibilities, and I know, but I don't really care. And I like that about him. He's not polished. He's not trying.
But that's why I think he's so good, because he doesn't care about any of that. Like literally, mate, he plays like he's a kid still. And that's the best thing. Like he's not phased by anything. And I think that's what
Rudy used to do that back in the day. He had the stature of an older player, but he'd play like he was a kid, fearless. He didn't care who he was going up against. And I think I seen a clip, because I see obviously socials, you see a lot of like stuff after the match that you don't see on the telly.
Yeah.
I think it was your last game, and it got heated with the Forest fans.
Oh, he just sat on the floor, yeah.
That's on the floor. It was just like,
he just let the boys do their thing. You lads crack on. I'm just going to sit here and chill out. But I mean, mate, just a couple of players that have done. I mean, firstly, mate, I'm very surprised at how good you've been defensively. Best defense in the league. Everyone bangs on about Saliba and Gabriel. Van Dijk and Konate have been exceptional this season. And I just wanted to quickly get a couple of thoughts on Konate. We all know how good Virgil is, right? But Konate was mocked a bit. In fairness, you know, he's been mocked during his time at Liverpool. What's happened to him this season? Like, maybe it's not just this season, but what's been a difference in him? What's Slot getting out of him that wasn't being got out of him before?
I think fitness in terms of the last 12 months has probably been a bit of a sticking point for him. So I don't know if there's been a bit of a fitness plan that's been implemented, and you know, maybe some sort of dietary things gone on in the background. I can only really speculate. I think from a performance perspective, though, he was always meant to be 1 and 2 with Virg. You know, that was the reason he was bought. And I think the Jarell Quansah thing, where Jarell had really stepped up last year, and I think he exceeded everybody's expectations of the level that he was able to produce. And it goes back to the age-old thing. When Virgil was at his peak, you'd get Liverpool fans saying, I can play centre-half next to him. and I'd look good. And it was, bro, I swear, it was like, everybody believed it because that's how good Virg was. And then Jarell Quansah kind of came in last season. Virg is kind of back going up on the ascendancy. And what Jarell Quansah was able to do was show the levels that he was at. And I think when you take out Virg, you know, it's clear there is a bit of a drop-off. The quality and the assurance isn't necessarily there in Quansah. But alongside him, you don't panic. You don't think, bloody hell, there's a bozo there in defence and there's always going to give opportunities and all the rest of it. But I think that must have hurt Konate's ego a little bit. That how's this young lad here just go out the academy now getting picked over me? And that Ipswich game was a bit of a sound off to Konate. Quansah's hooked, half time, you're not winning enough duels, get in there, Konate, show him how it's done. And Konate's not looked back. And I think that's part of footy. And I love that for footballers, where you might think you're up against it a little bit, but when you get the opportunity to get the shirt and put it on, it's up to you what you do with that thereafter. And if you're on it and you're performing at the highest possible level for yourself, and you know you're contributing towards the team because he's contributing with goals, big match saving tackles. You know, if you're able to contribute in all the right areas for your role, someone else is going to find a way at the level above you. And if you're performing at a near close to world class level, it's very difficult because there are only a handful of footballers that are in the category that are better than you. And I like the way that they complement each other. Virg is very much the organizer. He's the leader. He's very proactive to see where trouble is going to start to develop on the pitch. Konate is a little bit more old-fashioned. I'm physical. I want to get into the battle with you. I want a firefight. Yeah, I'll give you. I've got the recovery pace. You try and do something where I can read it. boom, I'm going to body you. And that's going to be the end because I want to let you know that I'm there. Canate's got that in his locker. Virg's just still got it. Virg did it in the Champions League for us the other week against Bologna. 70, 80 minutes played, boom, they're running down into their right or left. Virg goes over, puts the afterburners on and lets him know that he's there. It's like, yeah, I'm Virgil van Dijk. I'm what? The other lad. He doesn't always have to go into that, though, but he's got it in his locker, whereas Canate is very much, I'm here to show that I'm a physical presence. I'm here to be a bully. I'm not going to let anybody run through me or run me, outpace me or outmatch anybody who backs himself. So I just think a lot of things have just come and just the timing of it all just fell perfectly for Canate. And again, just having a clean slate. Whatever's happened. You might have had a disagreement with Jürgen at one point and it left a bit of a sour taste in your mouth, or you might not have liked being dropped for a certain game and then you thought, there was a bit of an injury. You couldn't really be bothered training yourself to get yourself back to full fitness. Then it's just hampered things. And in the same way, it's very quick to spiral out of control. To build that momentum when things are going well and when they're working, it very quickly escalates as well. So I do think there is I definitely think there's something in just having a clean slate, coming in, forward, doing what's been asked of you, and the manager then saying, all right, you're my guy. You keep performing like that.
Yeah. Mate, sometimes players just need a little arm around the shoulder, a little bit of love, a little bit of support, innit? Like same with someone like Jadon Sancho. But mate, just very quickly, I wanted to get your thoughts quickly on someone that's doing very well at the moment, Luis Diaz. Now, is this the real deal, or is this just Luis Diaz? Or is it just a purple patch? Because like I speak to a few Liverpool fans. Some think, this is the guy. Others maybe think this is just going through a purple patch and he's going to revert back to type. Just briefly, mate, what are your thoughts on Diaz? Good start to the season. Do you think he can maintain this?
Excellent start to the season. He's got to maintain it. There's no two ways about it. He's got to maintain it. The output needs to be there consistently throughout the course of the season. I'm very happy with our left-hand side at the moment. It's probably looked the best it's looked since Mane's left. There have been moments, but I think they've been purple patches. I think they've been individuals doing really good stuff. McAllister, a period last season, had a really good run in the team on that left-hand side of the midfield. Luis Diaz has had periods since he's come in, which has been exceptional. But on the whole, it's probably under-delivered for me. I'm happy, but I need to see it consistently. Like it's no good giving it to us up until Christmas, and then when push comes to shove, we're potentially in a title race or closing in on a trophy of some sort. You go missing, and it becomes all all flirt, no scare type of deal. Like I can't deal with that. Like we've had enough of Luis Diaz foreplay. Like
he does a bit of teasing, doesn't he?
Literally, and everybody was sold on it. Everyone was like, "Oh, this guy's cooking," and there's a lot to it, and there is clearly the quality there. But for me, decision making, the final balls, and just being decisive. You picking up that ball, knowing what because all the others do. Even like Darwin, he knows what he wants to do. Even if he executes it or he doesn't, he still knows what he wants to do. Salah, you know what he wants to do. You know where he wants to be on the pitch. You know that little box in that area where he wants to take the majority of his shots from. Get him the opportunity, the ball in those areas, and something will happen more often than not. Diaz, you just couldn't guess. It was too sporadic. It was too erratic. There was too much going on. He'd rip you. He'd cut back. He'd go back and rip you, he'd then cut back. Would he put it in? Then he'd pull. It's like, if you don't know what you're going to do, how are your teammates supposed to know what you're going to do? And I think a lot of that now is the understanding, the assimilation into the team, the system, the city, as well as the personal issues that he was dealing with last season.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now has been firmly put to bed. So hopefully all he has to worry about and focus on is his football. And again, it's a fresh start. So, he's taken that and just ran with it. And as I say, as long as that continues, there's a far left winger in Luis Diaz there. If it just turns out to be a bit of a purple patch, then that could be an issue because it will hamper what we're trying to do and what we're trying to build. There's competition in that place now. Gakpo, you mentioned briefly Diaz. Gakpo's been equally as effective. He's been, the big part player in that, really. Diaz is getting all the props, but I've liked what Gakpo's done and what he's been able to offer when he's came in and out of the team so far. So I think that competition, same with Canate. He might not think that Quanta's on his level, but if you're not performing, Quanta could come in and we've seen he could do a job. Same with Diaz now. If you're not performing, we've got somebody able to do that job effectively. Might not do it in the same way that you do, but in terms of output, the output's still the same. It's still towards the same level. And that's the ultimate ultimate metric for us, the output, as opposed to the flirting and all the rest of it that comes with it.
Yeah. No, for sure, mate. I think a big plus as well is that like both teams, I mean, maybe we've got slightly more depth on the bench. We can bring on the likes of Nkunku, Felix, Neto, Mudryk, etc. But you guys have got options on the bench, you know, whether it's a Nunes, I know he's not in great form, but Nunes can still pull something out, you know, whether it's a Gakpo, like there's options there, which could be crucial in a game like this. But just to round out, mate, score prediction. You backing your boys to get the 3 points?
I said on Potter's channel the other day, I could see a draw.
Yeah.
And I could see, you know, a 2-2 but between both of us. And, you know, I don't think you could really... Again, you could say, you know, if you want to go win the league, you're going to have to beat Chelsea in this
particular of course, moment,
yeah. You know, very early into what they're trying to be, and they haven't really got that... the squad that's been kind of bedded in for as long as what Liverpool have. So Liverpool have still slightly got that edge. They've got the Anfield edge. I back us to win, but at the same time, if there was a draw there at 90 minutes, a 2-2, and an entertaining game, I'd look at anything. But both managers will get a lot out of that in the long run by knowing what it's like to go against another quality team. So I'm more on the fence that there could potentially be a draw on the cards.
Yeah, mate, I agree. I think if one team's going to win it, I think you boys are more likely to win it than us. But I wouldn't say it's impossible for us to do, but I think the draw is most likely. But for me, what I want to see is I've got no problems with us losing. Like, you know, it's a tough place to go. I want to make sure we turn up, we compete, we give our best. And if you come up short, you come up short and you hold your hands up. We're not quite at that level yet. I don't want us to turn up and get rolled over like we did last season and not compete. I don't think we're going to see that. I think this team's different. I think we'll have a go. We'll play on the front foot and we'll see what happens. If we come up short, we come up short. But
this cause some problems. Make no mistake about it. You know, we've got no Allison in goal. Kelleher's going to have to come in and step up.
He always has worldies against us though. Every time he plays, I'm not celebrating that Allison not in goal because I don't think it makes much difference. Kelleher always does the business against us. But for me, I think the draw is probably, I think that's probably a fair result. I think I'll probably go like something like a 1-1, but equally, I wouldn't be surprised if we lost. But look, this is probably the most confident I felt going to Anfield, given the run that we're on. But it's the toughest place to go in the league. You know, there's no guarantees whatsoever. But one thing for certain, it should be a great game. Should be plenty of goals. Should be lots of opportunities. So. Yeah, going to be interesting to see what happens. But bro, thanks so much for coming as always. If people want to check what where you do your stuff and all that, let them know.
Yeah, so obviously I do a lot of the content with the Redmen TV lads over there for a lot of our watch along sessions. So if you're interested, if you want to see my, you know, how I'm feeling and the nerves on the day, if you're not on the ground or anything like that, and you're looking for a place to tune in and get some good fan content, definitely check us out on the Redmen TV. Can't miss them on socials, we're everywhere.
Nah, perfect. Guys, make sure you do that. We tagged in the description, title, all that good stuff. Go over there, show the guys some love. I mean, I'll definitely be there if we win. I'll make a little appearance in the
I'm
chat.
sure we all do. I get Saeed in there, I get Lee in it, Lee comes in and he drops it. I'm thinking, oh gosh.
Yeah. No, I'll make a little appearance in the car on the way home if we get the job done. Otherwise, I'll be in hiding for a few days. But mate, thanks so much for joining. Guys, smash the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll catch you again in another one soon.